Good morning and welcome to our first Derby Talk show where I'm going to go through the PPs and the speed numbers. As as a Fat Ball Guy member, you should have got the email already with the different speed numbers and the strikes and all that other stuff. Well, all I could tell you is we have been extremely successful. I mean, I could go back and show you hit after hit after hit on Derby Day. That some were my doing, some were our group. Last year, my man Huey demanded that we put in Sharp Azteca in one of our tickets, and we end up having an unbelievable day all because of that one move and all the other horses that we used. Plus, we knew the Derby was a two-horse race, so that's what we try to do. We're just trying to help you pare down the Derby, and I think when you look at the strikes and then you look at the speed numbers, and the speed numbers are vitally important. You're going to find out that you can toss out three-quarters of the field from winning. You could put them underneath in your tries and supers to try to strike big, but I'm talking about the horse that's going to win the race, the horses that are going to have a chance to be on the wire. And this year, the first thing that stands out to me is how fast some of these horses are already. I mean, one liner's already got a 102 Buyer and a 101 Briz. That's really good because they don't usually give high Buyer numbers at this time of year. Late 2-year-old, you'll get some high Buyers, like Classic Empire got one. With a big run in the Breeders' Cup there. For whatever reason, they tend to give some high Buyers in the Breeders' Cup, but they won't give the high Buyers early in the campaign. When you look at the history of the January and February races, you just don't get a bunch of high Buyer numbers. Now, Briz tends to be 6 to 8 points higher than Buyer early in the 3-year-old season. You'll see a lot of horses in the high 90s, low hundreds. One liner 102, 101, Buyer Briz. Then you got Classic Empire 102, 108 Briz. Irish War Cry's already got the 97 Buyer and the 102 Briz. Those are the three main horses right now as far as both companies are concerned. Now, Briz has Motown and Ella Reeb over 100, 100 and 101, but Buyer don't like either race, 92 and 86. So I don't like it when the gap gets that big. I start to question those figs. Now, when they both are within a few points, 4 or 5 points, that tends to tell me that race is more credible. So, I like the fact that One Liner, Classic Empire, Irish War Cry all got those numbers already. Now, we want to see how many preps these horses are taking, because when you look at that chart I sent out, it's significant now. Back in '06, it was a bigger deal to have 3 preps. Now, Street Sense 2, Big Brown 2, Mind That Bird 2, Super Saver 2, Animal Kingdom 2, I'll Have Another 2, American Pharaoh 2, Nike was 2, Orb had 3, Chrome had 3. So you're talking 8 out of the last 10 winners have only had 2 preps. That's a big deal, guys. You got to take a look at that when we start getting closer. Who has only 2 preps? Because they should leap forward. By the way everybody's training these days, they should leap forward. So, Classic Empire missing the Fountain of Youth, I don't care. As long as he comes back in the Florida Derby or the Bluegrass and he leaps back forward and runs his 101 or 102, he's already got the foundation and the number from his 2-year-old year that we know he can run that number. Now, can he get a mile and 16th to a mile and a quarter? I don't know that answer yet. I'm still really leery on if he can do that. Same with One Liner. Buyer had him leaping forward to a 102, where Briz, he really didn't leap forward that much on Briz. Briz already had him in the 90s up to 101. So to me, that's a big deal there. So Irish War Cry, same thing. 97 Buyer, 102 Briz. How many preps are we going to get out of this horse? I don't know. Ella Reeb's already run twice. How many more times is he going to run? He's really never even had a break. He's going to go right into the next one, then to the next one. I mean, he's going to have 4 preps. So to me, 4 preps is a toss to win, unless he's really got 108s and 109s to where we got to pay attention. because his Byers and Brizzes are so high. But right now, I don't think he's fast enough, and I think he's going to have too many preps. I guess it's kind of funny when you say too much seasoning, but he's going to have a form that looks a lot like a charismatic from years past. And lately that just hasn't worked very well. So, American Anthem, he ran January 7th. Is he going to run again and again? So it looks like he'll probably have 3 preps. So we're going to be looking for him to have, 103s, 104s in the Briz Buyer department. Right now he's got a 94 and a 102. Battalion Runner, 91 and 96. Can he leap forward in his next start? Mastery in his first start. He's got a 91 and a 99 as a 2-year-old. Can he leap forward? McCracken obviously catches the eye because he's got that style, where he can come on. But is he fast enough? 93 Buyer is not going to get it done. Now, when he goes to his next start, if he leaps into the 98, 99 area, now he's where I'll Have Another is. Now he's where Super Saver was. Now he's where Orb was, to where he's got a chance. The Briz is already at 99. We're looking at that to be a 104 or 105. So that's what we're looking at as these horses go forward. I'm going to send you my sheet. I broke it down to all the top contenders with their Buyers and their Briz numbers, and these are only in route races. If it's in a sprint, we don't care. Sprint races mean nothing, especially with the point system. We want the Briz and the Buyer numbers, for this race. And a lot of people ask me about Thorograph and Rags. I don't use Thorograph and Rags for the Derby. It's just not dependable. I'm sorry. I don't mean to knock those guys. They're good at what they do. But I'm talking about, Briz. 102 number is 18 in the last 21 years. 18 for 21. I mean, come on. 18 for 21 where horses run at least a 100 number before the Derby. So if they didn't get over a 3-digit number, you could throw them out if they don't have that Briz number. 8 out of the last 10 years, 2 preps. In 22 years, only 1 horse with 3 preps or more has won the Derby that didn't have at least a 102 Buyer or Briz. Giacomo's the only one, and we all know that was a weird race. So, these numbers don't lie. 24 of the last 26 years, this goes back. The Buyer and the Bridge thresholds, the 97 or the 102. You've got to have the number. If you're confused by this, please email me ahead of time. Don't email me the day before the Derby. Email me ahead of time. Let's talk about it. If you like a horse, let's talk about it. I have no problem going back and forth talking about different horses for the Derby as guys try to gather their long shots. Can this horse hit the board? That kind of stuff. I can tell you this from the last 4 to 5 Derbies. If you want horses to just hit the board, lean towards the California horses. That doesn't mean a California horse is going to win the Derby. Now, the last 3 years, 4 out of 5, yeah, a California horse has won the Derby. So we got to keep our eye on that. But when you look so far, the California horses don't look as fast as One Liner and Classic Empire and Irish War Cry. But that can change real fast. Mastery pops a 105, and here we go. Gormley pops a 105. Here we go. We just don't know yet. We got to see how it plays out, but that's what we're looking for. We're looking for those 102s to 105 numbers, but for underneath horses like the Finish Line horse and some of these other horses from California that have run seconds and thirds, sometimes from California they'll have those bigger numbers. Nobody will bet them because we just kind of dismiss them for different reasons, and they'll plot in their second and third. So the American Anthems of the world, we just don't know yet, but in the back of our head, it's let's look at these numbers and try to really gauge in on these California horses as we get forward and see if they can move forward. If they can't, then we're going to have to regroup. And I know a lot of people are saying, no Pletcher, no Pletcher, no Pletcher, and Mark Cassie's terrible in these graded stakes. I get all that. But guys, somebody has to win the Derby. And maybe it is Irish War Cry. I don't know yet. But let's keep an eye on all these horses that have the numbers. It's all about the numbers. Don't let this breeding get in your head. Breeding is a bunch of bunk when it comes to this. They won't be on the trail if they don't have the breeding and they don't have the seasoning and they're not fast enough. All these trainers use Rags numbers. They use Thorograph numbers. They use Buyers and Briz numbers. And if they're not fast enough, they just don't put them in the races. So by the time we get to the Derby, we'll be able to separate the faster horses. 10 years ago, people would have looked at California Chrome and said, no way. Nyquist and said, no way. I'll have another, too much of a layoff. Animal Kingdom's a poly horse. Super Saver, Pletcher, got to throw him out. But they all had one thing in common, and that is they had the numbers. And if they got the numbers, they can win. The other stuff, don't let it cloud your thoughts. Who the trainer is, who the rider is. Oh, is breeding this, breeding that. It comes down to the numbers. It don't lie. 24 of 26, 17 of 20. I mean, it's right there in front of you. So, that's all I wanted to say for the Derby. Let's get it. We got it. We just got to watch these races a little bit closer as we get closer. And Keeneland's right around the corner. And the Oaks, we don't even want to talk about the Oaks yet because Unique Bell is running off the screen so far. So let's watch this race at the fairgrounds this weekend. Maybe Valadorna or somebody can step forward.